better daily, where we work hard in our minds, bodies, and our spirits to become 1% better every single day. Download the app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live to catch the video version of these podcasts. Here's your host and my dad, Alex Van Houten.
What is up, Betterment family? This is Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. Happy Monday. It is Mindset Monday, and on Mindset Monday, I am going to do my best to lift you up and point you in the right direction. And today's mindset is face it. I'm excited about this one. So, happy 16th day of the Faithful 40 Challenge. We are still in the grit phase of the Faithful 40 Challenge, which is the second set of 10 days. We are almost to the halfway point. So if you have been working hard, stick with it. Keep up the good work. If you are still floundering a bit, and maybe you've missed some posts in the past few days, and you're like, maybe I'm just not cut out for it. Shut up. Stop it. Do it. You do it. You made a commitment in the very beginning. You can do it. There's no reason you can't pick yourself up by your bootstraps right now and at least tell everybody how this commitment's been going for you and what you intend to change about the second half of the Faithful 40 Challenge. You got this. Hang with us. Good morning, Robin. Good to see you this morning. Today's mindset is face it. So a little backstory. First of all, next week on Monday, we are doing a trauma and health seminar. I'm very excited about the seminar. I've been working really hard to bring you something powerful and helpful and immediately applicable to your life. So I'm really looking forward to diving into that with you. That said, my mind has been preoccupied, might be too gentle of a word. My mind has been preoccupied with trauma and difficulty and pain and suffering. And I know that sounds really depressing. It's actually not. It's actually very hopeful. And I love that that's the case. But I've been researching in preparation for this seminar. I want to bring you something good. I want to bring you something scientifically based, but I also want to bring you something redeeming and helpful and hopeful and actionable, because that's what we do at Better Daily, where we become 1% better daily. The idea is, look, you're not perfect, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay here. Like, things in your life might not be going the way you want them to. Fine. But that doesn't mean you have to stay here. It does mean that we can look around and we can see the small things that we can make a difference pursuing, and we can do that. We actually can. We're capable of that sort of thing. And we can put our effort and our spotlight and our focus on making an improvement. And it's meager, 1%'s not a lot, but it's meaningful. I'm gonna hold on to that alliteration there. Just because it's meager doesn't mean it's not meaningful. And today's mindset, face it, is a call to action to face the difficulty, to face the area of pain and suffering, to face the hardship. That's what we're going to talk about next week with regard to trauma and our health. You see, well, I'm going to tell you a story, and then I'll make that point. So in Exodus, Moses and the Israelites have gotten out of the land of Egypt, and God really delivered them, right? So the plagues hit Egypt, and finally Egypt had enough of that, and they're like, fine, you can get out of here. And Moses is like, let's do it. And so the Red Sea parts, and that's a pretty epic moment for the Israelites, but the Egyptians can't catch up to them, and now they've exited the tyranny, but now they're in the desert. And so, well, it's a hard story. They're eating manna from heaven, but they're not very thankful for it. Moses gives the 10 commandments. He finally comes down from the mountain with these stone tablets, and the Israelites have built a golden cow statue, and they're throwing a party around it. And he's like, oh my gosh, like, I can't leave you for 3 weeks, and I haven't eaten in 3 weeks. This is Moses, right? He's fasted for 40 days for this particular talk with God. And so the Israelites have to grind it down and drink the calf. And then they're still having a hard time with God. And so God allows a bunch of snakes to show up in their camp and bite them. And these poisonous snake bites are killing people. And apparently it's very intensely painful and suffering. And so immediately the Israelites are, oh no, we've done this terrible thing against God. So they ask Moses, will you please talk to God, see what we can do about these snakes? right? Because these snakes are hurting them. They're visiting pain and suffering upon the Israelite camp, and the Israelites know that they're at fault, and they want God to do something about it. They want God to give them a way out. So it's really interesting because Moses talks to God, and God says, all right, look here. He doesn't say, I'm going to take away all the snakes. I'm going to take away all the pain and suffering. You guys can live hunky-dory. Glad you apologized. That's not at all what happens. And instead, what happens is God instructs Moses. It's very interesting. It's very, very interesting what God tells Moses to do here. He tells him to create an image of the serpent in bronze and to put it on a pole and stick it in the middle of the camp. So he lifts up this bronze serpent over the camp, and God's instructions are this: any man who looks at the serpent with faith will be healed. And so that's what Moses instructs the people to do. If you get bit by a snake, stop what you're doing and find this effigy and look on it in faith, and God will heal you. What in the world does this have to do with Mindset Monday? It's interesting. God's instruction to Moses about how the people will be healed of their pain and suffering is not that he's going to take it away and make everything okay again. It is that they are going to have to face it. They're going to have to face what it is that's causing their pain and suffering. And then I'll be able to heal them. This is really interesting because in the trauma literature and trauma research, what you find is that so many individuals are walking around in their lives with very, very deep pain and suffering that they have not faced yet. Maybe you lost somebody who was really important to you. Maybe you were abused as a kid. Maybe you went to war and saw terrible things, and you're just walking around with this pain inside. You know what happens when you cut yourself and the skin closes, but the infection's still there? It gets worse, kind of festers, becomes a bigger problem than it was before. If you're a surgeon, if you're a general surgeon, the way you heal a wound like that is you have to open it back up, and you got to pour like salt and, no, it's not salt anymore. Now it's isopropyl alcohol or iodine or whatever. You have to get rid of it. You have to kill the rot. You have to kill the infection so that the wound can heal fully. And that's actually what you find in the trauma literature. You find that if somebody is struggling with something deep and difficult that they're carrying around on the inside of them, resentment, hurt, pain, suffering, and a lot of times the corollaries, the health issues that come along with that, including things that we think we're doing to ourselves, like addiction, that they're just built on the festering wound of pain and difficulty and suffering. And my call to you today here on Mindset Monday is, if there is something ailing you, something difficult and dark and hard that you're wrestling with, instead of walking around like it never happened, I want to challenge you to face it. I want to challenge you to dig into that difficulty. I want to challenge you here on Mindset Monday to make it a point to put a space in your week where you can say, I'm going to deal with that thing. And there's a bunch of different ways to do that. And we're going to talk about that next week in the seminar. So maybe this challenge is a little preemptive, but I do want you to face it. And it might not have to be something so deep and dark and difficult. It could just simply be that today you have a list of things in your head, and there's one thing that you're like, oh, I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to do it. Maybe I'll put it off a little longer. Don't do it. I want you to face it. I want you to turn your face. I want you to turn your whole spotlight of your focus and your attitude and energy and put it on the thing that you don't want to face. See what happens. That's what God told the Israelites to do. And what's really, really, really cool about that is Jesus references that later in the Gospels. He says that the Son of Man will be lifted among men like the serpent of bronze that was lifted by Moses. And Jesus does this thing where he says, hey, look, eventually, after all this is said and done, I will be asking people to turn and face me. They will find both their healing and they will find their hope. So I wish there was no pain and suffering. It's a very frustrating conundrum, but there is. And so accepting that reality means that today on Mindset Monday, I'm going to challenge you to face it. See what happens. If you need a hand or a brother to walk through it, there's a bunch of them here in Better Daily. I can be one of them. Sisters too. Sisters are usually better. There's a lot of those wise ladies here as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on Mindset Monday. I hope you'll face it today, and I hope you continue with your excellent work through the Faithful 40 Challenge. This has been Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. Until next time, it's just 1%. You got this.
Thank you for joining us for 1% Better today. Don't forget to subscribe for the podcast. Leave us a raving review to tell others how Better Daily has helped you in your journey. If you want more Better Daily, download our app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live. Use code POD to get 25% off your subscription. That's POD, all caps, to save 25% on your subscription. We all have a cross to carry. It's lighter when we do it together. Go to betterdaily.live today.